So the second way that RhythmBot can help us master that half-swung, drunken type of groove is by helping us actually come up with grooves and practice them. Right? In the last lesson, we talked about using it as a half-swung metronome, so just helping us develop that intuition. But now we actually want to think of practice grooves, basically, that help us develop the vocabulary to actually come up with cool stuff, which might sound like this. So that's where we're headed. We're picking up right where we left off in the previous video, where we went into custom complexity, which I can touch at the top now. I tap this at the top, brings that back up. We had selected just the quarter note, rest, which gave us nothing, which gave us just the hi-hat, which was a nice sort of hack to give us that half-swung metronome. Now, we don't want just that. We want actual grooves. So let's choose everything, and let's only leave out the things that are going to be just like unnecessarily hard to play. Do, 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 right? So this, all 16th notes, let's leave that out. But we'll keep most other things. I'm just going to also leave out the one, E and A, this one right here. We'll leave that out. We'll keep the rest. And now it'll give us grooves. Give us a whole bunch of grooves that are all basically going to sound awesome. So what do we have for a tempo here? Something like that. I had turned the click off. I had turned the click down. Let's get things back to normal. Okay, what does this sound like? Oh, where's our backbeat? No problem. We go to groove settings right here. Turn our backbeat back on, and we're off and running. Boom. Cut. Sick. You know, you might be like, it's a little fast, a little hard to play those consecutive kick drums. Slow it down a bit. Get another example. Oh, nice. This is going to sound cool. Just by looking at it, I know. There's no kick drum on one. You've got that cool duka in the beginning. What does this sound like? Boom, boom, boom. Nice. Now, this is barely swinging. Now, like we've seen before, I kind of want to hear what this sounds like if I turn it up. Around 38. Let's see what that sounds like. All right. Now I'm really hearing it swing a little bit more, which I like at this tempo, at a slower tempo. Boom. So now RhythmBot is giving me infinite beats. And since this type of half-swung groove kind of always sounds cool, these are all going to be dope, right? So you can just go through these, and you're practicing a few things at the same time. You're practicing your sight reading, and you're practicing your half-swung grooving. And if you're paying attention to dynamics, you're practicing the dynamic balance that's so important to making something sound good when it's grooving. And we can even practice sight reading in a sec. But if we just take a look at some of these, what's this going to sound like? Get out of town. Every one of these is going to sound sick. Here we go. Next. Infinite sick grooves. Now, turn on reading mode. Now you literally have, you got to go 2 bars because you have to see the one you're playing and the one that's coming. Now, never-ending supply of sick grooves. And let's say, look, I turned up the tempo. My kick drum's getting a little tired. Let me just turn off like do-do-doom. And yeah, that's all. We'll just leave the other ones. Boom. So now what do we have? Sick. Now, you might be playing these. Let's read a little bit, and then we'll add one more little variable here. Okay, these are all sick. Now, what I was going to say is like, okay, these are all really sick, but they're also busy. Okay, these are just like almost like too busy to be realistic for a song. So what you could do then, I mean, it's great practice. Don't get me wrong. If you're playing a drum solo or something, that's great. But you can do it. You can adjust this space knob down here at the bottom. Space knob adds space. It adds quarter note rests, basically. So now, oh, look at all this cool space. This is going to be a dope groove. All this space in the beginning and then a busy syncopated thing. One, two, pat, boom, 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 boom. Space. Cat, boom, 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 boom. Sick. Turn reading mode off, lock some of these in. Let's find a really sick one. Boom, 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 cat. Boom, cat. Boom, cat. Boom, boom, boom. That's pretty dope. Listen to it. Listen to the turnaround right here. Another crucial moment. I've said this before in other videos in this series. The magic of RhythmBot is building your rhythmic vocabulary. What does that mean? Rhythmic vocabulary is the stuff that you're actually going to think of, that's actually going to come out, that's actually available to you. This turnaround, read the second bar, one, boom, 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 there are way more people who can play that technically than who will think to play it. Right? So everyone, all of us, we are able to hear and spit back way more vocabulary than we would think of if it wasn't presented to us. This is a difference between what I call our speaking vocabulary and our listening vocabulary. Right? I can hear all sorts of rhythms and understand them. I can even notate them. They don't throw me off. And that makes me think that I know them. But I might not know them deeply enough to actually think of them on the spot. And this is a major blind spot that most drummers suffer from. They're like, I feel like I'm always playing the same stuff. But I go listen to music and I look at notation and I'm like, I get it. Right? But there's like a big gap between getting it technically and it being so in you that that word is like available in the middle of a sentence without you needing to search for it. So what RhythmBot does is it's constantly exposing you to rhythms that you, if you adjust the complexity right, that you can play that you're probably not thinking of. So when you find something like that, you're like, that's a sick turnaround. Boom, 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 boom. I can play that. Would I have thought to play it? Probably not. That's when you go, let me sit with this one. Let me let that sink into my intuition, sink into my vocabulary more deeply, and actually look at the notation and what is it? Do, doom. It's the surrounding beat. 1, 2, 2 before, do, and then boom, boom, do, doom, ka. Now I can sort of register this away more consciously as something that not only I can theoretically play, but that I'm recognizing and I'm taking stock of, and that therefore I'm more likely to play and use in the real world. Right? So this is how you develop your rhythmic vocabulary, which is not just what you get theoretically, but what's actually available to you in improvisation or in composing and creating in the moment or something like that. So keep your eyes peeled for things like that. Right? This isn't just about learning to read notation. In fact, who cares? I almost never need to read notation. Ever. But I am always thinking in rhythms and I actually need to know what I am doing. And it's through reading it, thinking about it, counting it, and taking stock of it like this that you do that. All right, that's enough for me. Happy practicing, happy half swinging, and I'll see you in the next video.